Welcome back, everybody, to week number 2 of Stage 4 of the Quake Pro League, where up next, we have a big one. It's going to be Raisy up against Coollerz.
It is a big one, and it's weird to say this, but I think it's a game where both players have a point to prove. Not just going up against each other, but just in the way in which they've been playing for the past 4-6 weeks. I don't think either player will be particularly happy with some of their results, particularly on LAN. Raisy more than Coollerz as well. It feels like he's been dropping off, but even Coollerz hasn't been showing us the heights as we saw a good couple of months ago. So yeah, I think this is something where it might be the start. For whoever takes this one, could be the start of something good.
Well, we know that Raisy is going to be bitterly disappointed about his results for the Stage 3 final. It was quite a shocking outcome that he didn't get further than he did. The early results not going his way and then having some real killer matches in the lower bracket. It was just, a fortunate series of events if you're in Raisy's position. But the reality is he is strongly still to this day considered one of the best players in the world. And this is the opportunity to get that redemption. It's very rare that Raisy has to kind of redeem himself, but Stage 4 is where that has to happen.
100%. And for someone that was so consistently dominating everyone, like some of those frags we saw in his highlight reel, like pummeling Kilsons and Coollerz with big leads. Haven't seen that come out of him for quite a while. So hopefully that'll be today. But then we have Coollerz, who is one of the most successful, most versatile, and most entertaining players to watch. But likewise, I just haven't been unbelievably impressed with him. He doesn't feel like he's been as dominant as he was before for whatever reason. So, and he has traditionally struggled against Raisy. I think he has a point to prove to himself as much as everyone else.
Well, moments away from going into our first map, and it's always good to get these kind of juicy matches this early on in the Pro League as well. It's always we're only in week 2, right? We've already got Raisy versus Coollerz, which always promises to be a good one. And both players, they've got a fair amount of fans out there too. We have the picks and bans now, so we can finally see what the journey's going to be. Have a little bit of a chit chat about those picks. Corrupted Keep first with the Strogan Pika versus the Galena. Ruins of Sarnath, Nyx versus Anarchy with the clutch taken away. Always going to do that with Raisy. And then Blood Run, the final map. Doom versus Ranger. The battle of the poster boys.
Yeah, and they're all mirror matchups, so that's much more interesting. I think when you've got a big discrepancy in stack, it can often go one way or the other. But when you have the mirror matchups, that's where we see the most amount of strategy and even games coming out. So that's pretty entertaining. Again, nothing really out of the ordinary here. We see pretty meta picks coming throughout. I think the Nyx versus the Anarchy is probably the most unusual in Ruins. But apart from that, pretty standard. Yeah,
so our first map going to be Corrupted Keep with the Strogan Pika, the Galena. Raisy is so good on this map. There is a reason the term Raisy's Keep was invented just months after we started seeing competitive Quake champions. A few years ago when this map was the map that everyone was kind of having to learn. Raisy was kind of the player that had the earliest hold over it. He kind of figured it out quicker than everyone else. And from that point on, it's just been a map that he's been historically very dominant at.
Saying that, I mean, I don't think when you look at the real top end of the leaderboard, there is no real favourites across the board. Everyone's as good as each other on every single map, on every single champion. There are favourites here or there in terms of what people prefer to play, but I can't argue that someone's better than another person. Like Coollerz traditionally as well has always thrived on maps like this, where you can keep a high tempo, you can suffocate your opponent, you can keep that pressure up. And so he's an incredible beast on Corrupted Keep as well.
Hey, if we're playing at the highest level of playing at this level now, comfortable in everything. Yeah, exactly. It's only ever going to be a weakness if it's.
That is a wrong server. So we might have to restart real quick. Sorry.
Oh yeah, because they went for one of the different servers. So I think they've. It seemed like there was. Yeah, so we're going back to lobby. Okay, looks like we're doing that then.
That's nice of Coollerz. He actually had a much lower ping than Raisy.
But he clocked it. He pointed out good guy. Shout out to good guy Coollerz. Good guy Coollerz.
Yeah.
But I guess to extend, while we just quickly do this quick restart, will only be about a minute. To just extend on what we were talking about, it is how back when Quake Champions, first was competitive, we would see a lot more of that, where there was a player that was really dominant on this map or on that champion pick or whatever it might be. That we still see shades of that. If Raisy is able to get a clutch in there, you can often expect a pretty one-sided map unless the opponent has this absolute solution, which is quite rare.
Yeah, there
in
is
Pro
this,
League.
and in some of these champions that are a bit more niche, Athenas and Clutches, there are some players that really excel in certain situations on them. So Athena's on Blood Covenants, for instance, or Clutches pretty much on any map. But that's much more of a niche, individual-esque, and that's where the banning comes into it a bit more, where there's some more strategy that goes through that process as well. And we've seen that's why the development of like Rafa's style, in terms of his much more meta thinking about certain matchups and his picks in a bit more detail, that's crept into, I think, wider thinking. So that's why we see a bit more of a standardization of preferences now, I feel.
Opportunities for players to just put a little bit of their personality into certain champions as well, which I do think is just quite a nice little bit of personalization. But looks like we've loaded in now, so we've gone back into Corrupted Keep. Thanks for your patience. We should have had the server, I believe, has been switched up. I think we're good to go. But yeah, Corrupted Keep, you said it yourself. It's maps where you can just keep the tempo incredibly high. And with Raisy, with someone like Drogon and Pika, he's going to naturally be able to do that anyway, thanks to the crouch slide. But Cooler, I mean, you don't need crazy fast movement to play this map at a fast pace. No. And those totems will just matter massively in fights. They're great for the heals. This map has plenty of heals anyway. So a bit of a gift that keeps on giving if you're a good Galaner on this map.
And I think your point is actually really key. I think people misconstrue pressure with speed. Pressure comes from positioning, range damage, just the presence on the map, and you don't need speed for that. That's where we see the use of heavy champions when you've got an extra positional game. That's where you can come in strong. But Raisy realizes he's got the weapon advantage here, goes in strong. That is Raisy through and through.
Yeah, that was a Strog going up the jump pad alongside the Pika at the same time right there.
I think that's Raisy's one of Raisy's biggest strengths is his situational awareness and just the thought process to capitalize upon those situations instantly. Actually has no hesitation.
And Raisy has been forced into a bit of a tricky position. He's able to get the Mega, but there's no armor to work with. So Raisy has to put so much confidence into his rockets, but Cooler just hasn't been able to hit many of his shots there. Raisy somehow able to survive that.
Pretty fortunate there. It was a bit messy, but Cooler realizing how low he's got Raisy. He's going to keep this pressure up. Raisy can sneak away, but he's not going to survive that one, as Cooler now does back off, pick up the heavy. Raisy does have time to put some pressure on here, and the Mega's up very shortly, so just want to deal damage and back off to that. Cooler eats a full rocket. He's very low. And Raisy, can he finish him off? No, he hits the wall.
They're still weak, but there's plenty of totems to recharge on. And as we can see now, it's just all about waiting. Cool has to try and wait this out a little bit. Oh, Raisy was prepared.
Okay.
Absolutely prepared for every angle there. 3-1.
Thought he was being cheeky, but Raisy had perfect awareness there. He's very early for this Mega. I think he's completely mistimed it, as it is the heavy that's up instead.
There's that barrier. It's not going to save his skin. The Pika tried to be that barrier in between, but all it did was get in the way. Right now, Cooler just looking for that opportunity. Already swapping to the machine gun because he knows that Raisy's going to go towards LT score. He knows it. He has the perfect read and the perfect call out, and Raisy, unfortunately for him, is happy to oblige.
Great pressure coming out from Raisy. Yes, he's taking a lot of damage, but he's also got the speed to get in time with this Mega. Picks up the health instead, which pretty much equates.
That machine gun extreme. Absolutely. Got the job done there. Only one frag separates them. Yeah, a little bit of that keep away. And that rocket. The beginning of the end. Raisy needs to simply change to heavy machine gun just with one little tick there. But here we go, almost ready. Looking for another fight that's breaking out here. Both players super weak, but again, the issue that Cooler has is that there's no armor. So he has to be surgical. He has to be surgical. No, can't quite get the rocket he was looking for there. Just in time for the Mega to score.
Pretty close. I expect Cooler to back off just a little bit now, as Raisy will have got enough of a stack where Cooler won't feel as confident to pressure. Saying that, you can see once again the way Cooler wants to play. He's going to go all in for that item. And he gets away with it.
Beautiful fight from Cooler. Absolutely beautiful fight. He needed to hit max of the max damage, and he was happy to do it. But he still needs to get a little bit more of this work done, as he's currently behind. Does time the Mega, but he can't quite get the fight. Raisy finishes the job.
It's chaos,
mind you. Chaos is right. A bit more of the range. SSG, no! He needed that shotgun to do so much more damage than it ended up doing.
It just didn't connect at all. Should have really got the frag there. And now Raisy's in a prime position to pick up this Mega. Coollerz that can deal some damage, but without the rocket, it's not going to be enough. And Raisy now has a very good lead after 4 minutes and a lot of chaos.
Once more, just Raisy's able to use that speed to put himself in a better position. You know, Coollerz has the sustain, but the reality is that when it's one item to spawn and both players are there, Raisy's always the one that's in that. He's in that position to start peppering down the damage first. The strength of a fast, agile champion on this map. You just beat people to the punch so often. And Raisy punishing hard too. You know, it's not just the speed here, it's his own ability to just get this crazy damage. His use of the Pika that just catches absolute sight of when Coollerz push.
No, that was insane. Coollerz is unrelenting, but now as these pushes are paying off, you can see the scoreline is very steadily, well, I didn't even steadily, very quickly getting out of control here. 8 frags the difference, 5 minutes to go. Coollerz now needs to reassess this outright aggression, because yes, he's getting Raisy low, but when he's not finishing him off at any single one, it's like a 3-to-1 ratio at the moment. And again, it doesn't work out.
Again, yeah, consistently. I think I've seen this one before.
Once again, Coollerz charging him with the SSG. This time he might be a bit more lucky, but he misses the heavy, and it's feeling like it's got out of control a little bit now. We can see the strategy from Coollerz and what he's trying to do, but when you're not getting the frags and you're letting Raisy restack, you're not in with much of a chance.
And Raisy's consistently getting frags at very pivotal times where Coollerz can't really refrag and he can't capitalize. That knock-up was just a disaster situation. Nothing Coollerz can do about that one. And now 4-16, a one-sided affair. Coollerz going for the heavy because he does not want you to get it uncontested. At the very least, he's going to deny, but again, perfectly timed, because in 10 seconds that Mega's about to spawn, and there's plenty of lights for Raisy to run around to take as well. So he can put himself in position once more. Coollerz, fresh off the spawn, he's not got much weapons to use either. Just Raisy's better equipped for every fight, and he's making sure that's the case.
Yeah, and this game is over, unfortunately. His own grave, like, you can't go passive now, but at the same time, he should have gone passive.
Oh no.
A long time ago, as he continues to charge and continues to fail.
It's almost weird calling it a victory lap when we've got 3 minutes left of the map, but
it really
here
is
we
a
are.
victory lap, yeah.
Coollerz going to continue to make his presence known on these items, but considerably and consistently, Raisy is going to be the one that wins the fight.
Yep.
Now, knowing Raisy like we do, is he going to use this last few minutes to maybe try and get a gauntlet kill?
I imagine yes.
I mean, this is Raisy we're talking about. When he knows the map has won, he goes for the highlight reel. That's what he does. He's going in for the personnel. That's going to go through. The drone, not going to do it.
I mean, we could see the strategy from Coollerz coming out, right? That he wanted to go toe-to-toe. That's the way he likes to play anyway. And it was 2 or 3 frags in a row that just didn't go in his favour. And Raisy came out on top, as you rightly said, at pivotal times, just before Isaac pickups. And then that momentum span out of control for Coollerz.
But from this stage, Coollerz, as a player that will never cease, he will never take his foot off the gas. Even if this map is, by all accounts, lost, Coollerz is one of those players that will play it through to the end, no matter what. And if you're playing on a map-by-map basis, then it's not particularly a bad way to go. You know, we've just talked on mental stamina and how some players can almost lose the fight before it's even begun. Coollerz is not one of those players that you would assume would do that, and he will play every map through to the end, which is kind of what he's doing now.
Yeah, you can see him trying to force the issue. Raisy just going to use his speed advantage to play keep away. Raisy's somebody always wants to win by the biggest score possible way. I won't ever give away a free frag.
Mega's ready to take. And Cooler just going to soak it up. Not much use talking about
Raisy
these
has
items
done
anymore because we're just here. We're done. The map's finished.
Raisy's nearly done double Coollerz. 6.5k versus 3.5k. That is incredible.
1 minute left before we're a done deal. Raisy, shock horror, is going to take the first map here versus Cooler.
I mean, Coollerz actually had almost identical control to Raisy as well. There's only one item difference between the two of them. So it wasn't as if Cooler got stomped. It was just the execution from Raisy was much, much better. And Cooler was taking the items in situations that weren't in his favour. Like off the spawn, without the weaponry. Just trying to deal enough damage to kill Raisy and then take control. But when that playstyle fails, you can see what happens. It fails hard.
And Raisy's accuracies just seem to be inches, you know, just that's above Coollerz right now. Even that frag there, where you would think Raisy is just completely done. Yet he's somehow able to squeeze in these frags in weird places and just keep that lead. Looking like we should get another frag here for Cooler, but at this point it's just trying to soften the blow a little bit. Not that you can soften a 6.3, but you know, it's
slightly more
that counts.
respectable. Can't remember the last time I saw Cooler lose this hard though. And it wasn't as if he played out of this world as well. It's just that a high risk playstyle that Cooler didn't adjust. It didn't even feel like he needed to adjust it until it was just instantly got out of control. It wasn't a moment where he said that was probably wrong. It was just a few things that could have gone his way, didn't, and then it was, instead of being 5-5, it was what, 8-5, you know? So
a massive part of that damage too was that Raisy had a good 2,000 more damage on rockets alone in that match. And the rockets, extremely prominent, were connecting near the items. A lot of these frags, we're going to go back and watch this replay here. How many of these frags in the replay are near a mega or near a heavy? Where Raisy's just getting a frag at the best time. Like, you know, here's going to be one of the first ones.
Yeah, Raisy was incredibly low as well, coming off the back of some of these. Like these first few engagements, so back and forth. And then it was around this time where Raisy got one or two cleaner frags, and from then on in, it was just smooth sailing.
In pivotal moments, that's when it was. They both had similar ideas to fight at similar times. Raisy was more often in a good position, and then he could just punish. He could win the fight quite comfortably, and then from this point, that was filth. That was absolute, complete, and utter filth.
That was so good. Yeah.
It was just so sneaky. It's one of the sneakiest things I've ever seen.
You can see how he was getting some of these engagements.
Time after time. We see the frags go pretty much the same way. You know, we said about halfway through the map, it feels like a rerun. Yeah. Up until the final moment. But at the very least, though, at no point did it feel like Cooler had given up at all. You know, sometimes players will almost concede and they'll start to soften the blow a little bit. But Cooler's not one of those players. He's very intense. You know, the gameplay is very intense all the time. And now we are going for, I don't want to use the word unorthodox, but not your everyday matchup on this map alone. Ruins of Sarnath, but Nyx versus Anarchy. I'm excited to see this one.
Yeah, this is Quake Champions 2017.
Yeah, I think we've gone back in time, haven't we? Time machine.
Here, yeah. So it's going to be interesting. Light versus light. Speed versus utility in a sense. Definitely going to feel less aggression. That's imagine Cooler play a lot more strategic, a lot more positional. But yeah, I haven't seen this much of for a while.
Well, it's often said that, you know, Corrupted Keep is a map that you really kind of have to treat as its own beast, right? And I know we said that earlier too, but there are maps in this game that it's hard to feel like this map will be the trendsetter for the rest of the series, and Keep is absolutely one of those examples where, you know, we may not have seen Cooler lose by that degree for a while, but it's Corrupted Keep. You know, that's just the nature of a map like that. So now we're going from one extreme to another, a very out in the open map, very heavy. Two champions, again, lights coming through to play. We will see how this one goes. It's going to be map 2, Raisy versus Cooler. Looks like we're checking out Raisy first. Let's get the show on the road.
Coollerz. Mega Spawn has everything except the rail. That rail. Coollerz drops doubles back. Doesn't take a lot of damage, and luckily for him, catches Raisy completely off guard as well, as Raisy's exceptionally 1 health.
I will be shocked. Yeah, I was about to say, I will be shocked if Raisy survives that.
Yeah, I think
that was either going to be a +1 or a -1. Pick your poison.
I think Raisy was that low, he didn't want to pop the Ghost Walk because he knew his death was inevitable anyway.
Oh yeah, yeah. Because even if he was able to use the Ghost Walk, Coollerz can either listen out.
Yeah.
He has the speed to chase it down. Would have been quite the waste. This LG and accuracy from Raisy, sublime. The fact he was able to win that fight, a lot of pressure to hit those micro shots. And now he has the heavy. Now this is the opportunity. Can he get around without taking any damage here? Ghost Walk. Okay, aggressive. And he's going to be aggressive. Hang on a second. It's going to work out. Misses the rail. Watch out.
Nice.
Oh, the rocket almost hits its mark, but it does not. Raisy. The aggressive Ghost Walk just in the nick of time. And here we are. Oh, here comes a Coollerz. Oh, a bit off more than he could chew with that trap, I suppose, but
Yeah.
the thought was there. He did, by all accounts, take Raisy by surprise. It's just damage. And the Mega's taken. Coollerz. Scary position for him to be at. There's no armor.
Oh, no way! The dodge! Oh,
That's not the first time we see players dodge SSG by going point blank. Speaking of point blank, here comes Raisy. Coollerz, he's so weak. Surely he can't escape. That hoverboard's gonna get him out, but... Oh, he misses the shot! That's gonna be a death sentence, surely. Raisy has to run away now.
Oh!
Ready for the shot. Coollerz bringing his A game right now. This is a night and day different map. Raisy, his misses. I mean, he's very much going all or nothing. There are some high risk plays here, which just puts so much faith in his accuracy. You cheeky angle. He does catch him by surprise, but again, it's not going to work out. We're seeing quite a lot of brave plays from Raisy that you often wouldn't see a Nyx go for.
Yeah, foolhardy a little bit, but then Coollerz also been slightly foolhardy. Messes up his jump though, needs to get back up.
A lot of damage. Can Raisy get there in time? He can't. That Ghost Walk used mostly to try and reposition more than to try and steal anything. Those rockets kept Coollerz at bay, and now he's forced to retreat a little bit. There's still no rail on the side of Raisy, though, so he's got to be quite careful. Being down here is risky business.
It has no rockets as well, so can't catch Raisy off guard with big burst damage. Whoa! Raisy has nothing. He's got no weapons, no real ammo. Doesn't need it. That ammo, gets the weapons now, and now he's in a good position to fight. He also has full control. He's out of position for the heavy though. Coollerz does sweep in. Pretty sure Raisy realizes that now as well, that he made a mistake.
But now in Cooller's position, he's just about to go and get a rocket himself. Nope, never mind. Doesn't value the rocket launcher yet. He was going towards the rocket room and it looked likely, but much more happy to try and establish himself towards Mega as Raisy's taking tons of damage. These rails, they're going to be punished heavily as now here comes Coollerz. Looking to make the chase.
No,
the injections being used. I can't believe he got the Ghost Walk in time. Expecting him to be there heavy. Coollerz was expecting a brave play there from Raisy.
Oh, he did lots of damage, but does go down. Second suicide of the game. Coollerz is very weak, so he needs to be careful here because Raisy will be in position for this Mega. Okay. Okay.
That was a quick little escape. The question is, how long can Coollerz survive as Raisy's now taken these items? There's nothing to take either. I mean, looks like he has access to the injection, but is he even going to use it now?
He did stick around for the heavy as well. He definitely could have. Fortunate as Coollerz still running around weak.
Ouch. Now the injection's used to try and elude and dodge the rails, but Raisy's being so aggressive and so fast. Cooler with the double back. He does manage to get some bonus damage. But again, the LG, all he has to do
way!
Trade? They somehow trade that. Come on now.
That shows you the vulnerability of a light champion, that Raisy had such a good stack and still manages to die. But that's the easiest kill he'll have. As Cooler now needs to definitely keep on the run, as Raisy's pressure is going to be relentless here. Reset, maybe get back into some rail positions, as he doesn't want to engage Raisy without a stack.
Oh, that was cute. That was extremely cute, that Cooler went towards jump pad and then started walking back, knowing Raisy was going to make chase and it set up the free rail. That was a great choice.
Nice.
Ooh, another rail, 3 in a row. Looking for a bonus one at this point. He still hasn't finished the job. Raisy has tons of resources to get back up nice and healthy. The Ghost Walk was used, though. Cooler likely to have his injection before Raisy has access to the Ghost Walk. Hang on a minute, Raisy, that's not the first time Raisy has just used a weird hiding point. But that's what Raisy does. He's such a scientist of the map. If there is a weird little hidey hole, he will go there. And he'll often be the one that pioneers it as well.
Yeah, and Cooller's getting caught off guard just a little bit too easy there, running into Raisy. Once again, Raisy just dropping in and taking all of the damage. I mean, both players are playing a little bit reckless.
I love how the prediction was that this was going to be quite a patient game, and it's just gone completely the other way just due to how they're choosing to play it. It's almost funny that we would talk about, you know, this matchup reminds us of a 2017 Quake Champions match, but it's not going down the same way, not even close.
Nice.
Finished. Cooler just in time to get the heavy. Soak it up. And now the stack is insanely high. Raisy, surely he'd be a madman to go that way. But the question is, where does he go? Damned if you do, damned if you don't right now. Yeah. Rockets finish the job again, 6-3. Cooler looking so good right now. And Raisy kind of in trouble here.
He does get the mega spawn. That's the one saving grace. Has no weapons. So Cooler can pressure this, but this is what we see. It's such back and forth because neither one is able to develop any sort of stack. And being like champions, all it takes is one rail and they're already on even keel. So it's one of the reasons why it is such a back and forth encounter, and each one wants to keep up the pressure. Because these fights can just be a little bit random with an early rocket or an opening rail.
Now, Cooler knows he has time to work with, so here comes adopting the classic runaway phase, where you sit towards it. I mean, it's so hard to chase down, and now Cooler has the information. He's confident he can still take this fight, so he springs the first strike. A whole bunch of rocket damage, but not quite enough to get the job done. But Raisy's very weak here. Even with this heavy that's spawned, Raisy has to be kind of careful with the health bubbles.
Only 2 frags in it, though. Just 2 minutes.
That's why Cooler's starting to be quite defensive. He's being defensive, but he's not running away yet. You know, even that fight, he was trying to maybe see if he can squeeze in another frag. Oh, shot missing. It's potentially quite punishing for Raisy. Oh, he chases it down!
No way!
Who directs? How did he find those angles, ZSX?
That's just Cooler through and through. Cooler rockets. He had no right to hit 2 direct. Oh, that was insane.
Quake Pro League. That's all it is. Highest caliber of players going head to head. You're going to see results like that. But here comes Cooler looking for the defensive tri-bolt. We're going down to that 1 minute warning, and now we can finally start playing the runaway game because we have time to work with. We have the minute left. Cooler has a decent lead, all things considered. The injection's going to be back before this map is finished. And he's stealing all the lights as well. So, looks like he has to... I think there needs to be some exceptional mistakes somewhat, I think, if he's going to lose this map.
Oh.
Cute. Injections ready.
No fear from Cooler. As you rightly say, just going to wind on the clock now with 30 seconds to go. It's approaching on impossible territory for Raisy, even if he gets a frag instantly. And good victory from Cooler when I thought the map was spiraling a little bit out of control there. He does reclaim it. Great use of the rockets in the choke points.
And there we go, 10-second countdown. This map's going to be finished. Cooler able to win 1-1. We did talk about Corrupted Keep being a map that you kind of have to just take it for what it's worth. It is a map that is unique in its own way. And although Raisy was able to more than dominate on Ruins of Sarnath, that was a bit of a different story, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. What I'm most impressed with is that I think a lot of players, when they match up against Raisy, they definitely change their style a bit more conservative because of just the power that Raisy possesses mechanically. Whereas Coollerz just flipped it on his head and said, I'm going to go man on man.
When Raisy stats, Cooler fired 5 rails.
Yeah, he wanted to fight rockets in the choke points. That was his tactic. And so yeah, Coollerz just said, I'm not going to let you get a clean stack. I'm going to make sure I keep pressuring you. And we can see that Raisy's not comfortable when he's under that kind of pressure.
Food for thought as we go into the final map, that's for sure. Because here, even early, it's just Cooler. At most points, actually both players were able to show some kind of interesting stance on the map. Using some hiding spots and some ambush points, that rail was, fantastic.
So nice.
There were a couple of instances where both players were able to kind of bring the surprise. That was kind of the beginning of the end.
Yeah.
Just the fact that Cooler was able to survive that exchange was just ridiculous. Only someone like Cooler could do something like that.
You can see just every one of these frags, Coollerz rockets, Raisy struggled in combat. And that's because he was a light champion. When Coollerz rockets are on point as that, Raisy's always in trouble if he's going to engage close combat.
I'm going to go for a little bit smaller, a little bit more close quarters, because Blood Run is going to be the map that we load into now. And we said it was the battle of the poster boys, Doomslayer and Ranger. 2 champions that are incredibly better on a map like this. You know, Ranger has that verticality and the fight potential, and Slayer, like the double jump, it just means that you can navigate the center of the map so much easier. You've not got to self-damage as often to get something like a heavy or something similar. So 2 players that have pretty similar mobility to each other, but with how Coollerz been playing so far, we'll see how Raisy can maybe get that next level, because Coollerz are looking comfortable on the slower maps, and the second the map means you can be a little bit more just take those hiding spots, spring those traps. Coollerz just been a little bit better at that than Raisy has been, and I mean in Blood Run you can do very similar things. So we'll see what happens.
I'm more of a fan of a Ranger on this map, but I think the big factor, and it seems like a small thing, but considering how powerful Coollerz rockets have been in winning, in particular last map, the use of double jump, Raisy is probably the best person in the world in combat using that double jump to distort those fights, and it really messes with rockets. So I think it'll be a big factor here, just that passive double jump.
It's that trade-off of Doomslayer. Bloody good at dealing with rockets, not bloody good at dealing with LGs.
No, early engagement. It's cool. It's a better spawn and picks up an early frag and the mega.
Oh dear.
Love that skin as well. Got that NFL skin going.
Now, if you're Raisy there, like that's the worst way the map could have started. But thankfully, it only happened 10 seconds in. You have time to recover.
It is typical Raisy.
Momentum can be started so early on this map.
Like when you get that spawn, it's always a risk because undoubtedly your opponent spawned on the mega as well. So it's typical Raisy taking the high risk play. Nice, use the orb there.
Another free take of the heavy. Nothing Raisy can do about it. He spawned within eyesight of it, but with only a machine gun on hand, what are you gonna do? Ranger laughs at your feeble damage attempts. Oh, that rail. Opening things up, and now Raisy has to make a choice. With this mega about to spawn, it is risky to take this fight, but he just can't simply concede it easily, and Cooler gets a frag once more right before one of the major items is going to spawn, so it's a good situation for him. And Raisy has some thinking to do. Gonna have to scratch his head a little bit. Heavy's going to get taken, so he knows that Cooler keeps that control, keeps that momentum. Aggressive plays towards the orb. Tons of damage! Return LG, so it's better than nothing.
But is it worth it? That's an opening for Raisy because Cooler took so much damage. That was a clutch rail though, but Raisy's still not going to relent. And double rail! Now it's worth it.
Cooler, much confidence in his own accuracy. You can see every shot he's taking is hitting most of them. As I curse it again and he misses for another time. But
no, I'm incredibly impressed with Cooller's mechanical skill. Like, he was never someone that was traditionally known as being one of the best, but yeah, well, I think we've said it multiple times since Quake Champions. Really, he's definitely come on leaps and bounds overall in terms of his aim.
What do you do? You're just thinking about what this next play should be as Cooler rules the map with an iron fist.
He really is. He's keeping Raisy off items. He's keeping him off weapons. Setting up these traps. Raisy's looking a little bit lost here.
Raisy's not a player that's terrible at playing from behind. It's just with the momentum that Cooler is feeling right now. The fact that every single thing on the map that he wants to take is either just being soaked up immediately or is barely able to be uncontested because of how much damage Cooler is hitting. So he wasn't able to quite get a sight there. Yeah, the fact that he was taken by surprise for Raisy, that would be an opening. But he's returning fire. He's doing the exact same damage back instantly, so anything that looks like a comeback for Raisy is being snuffed out in the blink of an eye. It feels like so far there's very little that Raisy has been able to do to stop this from being the 6-0 that it currently is.
100%. And the fact is, Cooller's just been hitting his shots. Like,
LG! Raisy expects a rocket. Cooler knows he expects a rocket and pulls out the one weapon that shuts down a double jump. The matchup knowledge coming through, and the LG used there again just in case. It just looks like Cooler, he just has a complete hold on this. Super shotgun! That's supposed to be cannon the other way around. Doomslayer doesn't like getting hit by the super shotgun. He does it to everyone else.
And this is reminiscent of map 1, but for Cooler this multiple close engagements that could have gone either way. There was that one frag where I said, is it worth it by Cooler, and he hits his back-to-back rails to get the follow-up frag and secure the map. Like, there's small situations like that if it went the other way, this map would have been completely different so far.
And he's saying, oh, hello! There he is, right up above. Super shotgun in the backside, and here comes the rockets, the berserk. Actually, the fact that you rarely see a berserk frag, and when we finally do, it's on this map of all places, of all situations, we'll take that. We'll take that.
Already, Cooler's got full control once again. He hasn't got the rocket, but he can get that whenever he feels like he wants to.
Well, before we saw the berserk used, I was going to touch on the fact that you never get to see a berserk activated for a Doomslayer, which means that Cooler, as often as he has been using the orb, like those hourglasses belong to Ranger. They are his pickups exclusively, and he has more of them.
See how desperate Raisy is as well. He's doing so much damage to Cooler, but Cooler's just doing more and then falling back on items and restacking. There is 15 seconds now, and Cooler's not particularly healthy, but at the same time, Raisy's not in a position now to push Cooler, so he's kind of stumped.
The LG was the only weapon that he had.
Oh,
he's able
the double
to
jump
yeah.
does get in the frag. But
he stops there long enough. That was a good start, but I mean, we're just looking at the difference, right? 2 to 13. Raisy has to pull off a miracle if he's going to win the map at this rate with this much of a deficit. I mean, this is Blood Run too. Like, if Cooler wants to play the crazy hyper-defensive game with this much of a lead, he totally can do that.
But this is it as well, that Raisy now needs to overcommit for frags, because as you say, Cooler's not going to be committing himself. And so by overcommitting, Cooler's going to make sure he deals significant amounts of damage. So it's going to be almost impossible for Raisy to pull this off. If he does, it'll be one of the biggest comebacks I've seen for a long time.
Just let him fly past through the teleporter there. Heavy gets taken, and Raisy's going to start to get control of the map, and it's because Cooler allows it to be so. He is not interested taking these items anymore. He's done the hard bit. You know, he's done all the frags that he has to get. He'll now play around the teleporters, looking for the combo. Raisy ready for Cooler to be ready for the combo, as he often is. And, okay, inch by inch, he is starting to make it less extreme, but that doesn't change the fact that, look, there's hourglasses on the map. The orb is going to be prominent. Comes to the teleporter again. Listens out for it. And we just play the slow man's game again. Raisy has control, but that's fine. We'll leave it that way.
Yeah, but every one of these frags is taking longer and longer.
And Cooler definitely goes into these fights knowing he's going to lose. Absolutely. It's just how long can he stay hidden before. And now it's a game of doing damage as well. Raisy being constantly aggressive. The Dire Orb is ready though, and he's heard the teleporter, so Cooler knows. Just goes in for these fights. Raisy gets another one, but it's just taking a long time, isn't it? But he's not doing a bad job. Raisy's doing a pretty good job here. He's taking a lot of damage and the orb hurts.
That's the big frag Cooler needed, because he's done a lot of damage, so that will stall the aggression from Raisy. But he's already reclaimed, what, 5-6 frags just under 2 minutes. So statistically, he can do this.
He just needs to keep the common streak. He needs to make it so we don't have that one, like now. Like if he loses a frag now, he's back to square one.
Yeah.
However, as each rail lands and as Cooler takes that mega, that might be the one thing.
Because see, Cooler seizing the advantage, realizing how much damage he's done. Raisy's now on the back foot, and his life just got 10 times harder as he has to start, as you said, from square one.
Doesn't even matter.
Over again.
It doesn't even matter that Cooler didn't get the frag there. It's just as much of a win if he got him weak.
Exactly. It flips momentum. That's the big thing.
Here come the double jumps. Cooler just trying to spam out a little bit, but the runaway game is fine for him. Less than 2 minutes to clock, 5 frags. No, even more than that, sorry. I can't count today for Raisy. But the point is, it's too much work, right? Too much work.
And Rager has the orb, so he's got the versatility, he's got the speed. You can see Cooler's just running now. Like,
oh dear.
Yeah, it's frustrating as a player when you're just chasing someone around the map. And now Cooler realizes he's got the advantage, pushes in for an easy frag.
GG's right there. After a frag like that, the fact that Cooler spawns, gets the frag, and then right as the spawn happens, he gets the mega. This was a best case scenario. I'm just looking for bonus frags at the end of things. Raisy gave it a good fight, but Cooler just reached that next level throughout the course of this series. We are going to see a couple more frags here, but there's just too much work to be done and not enough time to get it done here. A defensive map that you can play if you want to. Cooler just needs to play this runaway game, make it knows. Oh no, Cooler!
Oh, he tried to out Raisy. It's unfortunate that map 1 and 3. It's unfortunate that map 1 and 3 ended like this, because it just spiraled out of control for both players too quickly. So we just saw a long series of catch up. Second map was remarkable.
As we now go into the last 30 seconds of this map, both players went into this really kind of needing something to prove, and Cooler has played exceptionally well on the 2 maps that he was able to take the win on. The one-sided map 1 that Raisy was able to seize control of early on. Here's the classic. 2 berserks in 1 map. We must have been treated.
Still doesn't feel that Raisy feels like the Raisy of old just yet. Not entirely sure what's missing, but it just doesn't feel like that same Raisy we saw, 4 or 5 months ago, where going into a series you just walk away untouched.
I would definitely be inclined to agree with you though, because the reality is when we're talking about Raisy, look, his mantle, the Godslayer, like he has that nickname in Pro League for a reason, because before Pro League and the year before that, he just went on this tear, and if there was a top level player, Raisy was able to compete, take it to them and win. That was what Raisy was known for being the player. Was, when it comes to champions, he doesn't have this deep-rooted legacy with all the Quakes. By no means was Quake Champions his first Quake. And he's always been experienced in competitive FPS, sure, but he just rocks up and is able to take it to the best in the world. He became famous for that alone. And as we're going later into Pro League, like you said, he's not quite hitting that same form at the moment. Cooler, to give him his absolute credit, played phenomenally well. I'm really happy to see Cooler playing the way he did today. Raisy just continuing to fall short just a little bit.
Yeah, I thought Cooler mechanically looked on point. Felt strategically as crisp as he has been at his very best. He was definitely favouring a much more aggressive approach, and that would be a particular choice against Raisy. But in the end, it brought him a victory.
As we can see here, these final moments of the map, Cooler trying to be a little bit cheeky and out Raisy. Would have been almost poetic if he was able to land that final frag. But all things considered, Cooler played extremely well, and he's going to be feeling good. Because at this level of play, it's not just results. There's always pride on the line too. No one likes to lose. at this stage, especially when it's a matter of the best going head to head.
Yeah.
So Cooler, he's going to be feeling good after that 2-1 victory. But that's going to be our first half of the day done and dusted. We have our next matchup to get through. It's going to be Cygib versus Dewey over in the Americas. To remind everyone, stage 4 Quake Pro League. We're going to go for a short break.